Calico on Crypto here. Thanks for tuning in. I got a piece for you guys today regarding the long-awaited crypto bill. Okay, on January 27th, U.S. senators are going to bring that bill to the floor, and they're going to let the whole world know, or at least let the United States know, what the state of crypto is. So if you're new to the crypto space, then I'm going to let you guys know this. Crypto's not regulated. Okay, it's almost illegal to have it because the U.S. cannot track it. They cannot bill you for it. They cannot come after you for it, really, because, again, there's no laws against it or for it. It's kind of in limbo. For those of you that have been in the crypto space, then you already know what's coming. Regulation. They're going to regulate crypto, which means when you get those 1099s from Coinbase and whatever other exchanges that you use, you're going to have to report that on your taxes and pay for any gains that you get in crypto. Okay, so the wild west of crypto is dwindling down. Okay, and also it affects interest rates too, because when you look into the whole thing, and I don't have it in here, but when I looked into it, if you're getting these crypto exchanges, if they give you some APY for holding certain tokens or holding stable coins like USDC or Tether, those interest rates aren't going to be so crazy anymore, right? 10%, 20%, 15% for holding. Obviously, the United States government's going to say, yeah, you can't do that. Crypto exchanges, we need you guys to taper down here because the US dollar is better. So we need you guys to match, the US interest rates right now, which is like 4% depending on where you go. All right, so let's look into this whole piece here. So the bill aims to clarify crypto tokens as securities or commodities. We're talking SEC and the CFTC. The CFTC, they handle commodities like raw materials, grain, wheat, gold, silver. Those are commodities. The SEC handles stocks, which are equities. Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, those are stocks. The SEC oversees those guys. Banking industry opposes the bill, citing financial stability concerns. Again, what I was just talking about, APY interest rates. Why park your money at a bank for 4% or whatever they're giving when I could park it in a crypto exchange and get 10%? Just look up the what you get just for staking Ethereum or staking Solana on Phantom. It's like 9%. Why would I park my money in a bank when I can get these kind of gains, right? Crypto firms fear reliance on regulatory guidance without new law. Okay, so crypto firms are like, oh my gosh, what's going to be pretty much like this. You got crypto exchanges like Coinbase. You have banks like Chase, JP Morgan, Chase, Bank of America, and the whole lot of them. They're kind of like at odds with each other. You know what I'm saying? If crypto is giving you great APY, great savings and all that, then people are going to take the money out of the bank and move it over to where? A crypto exchange, okay? But keep this in mind, not many people are invested in crypto, but if this regulation passes and they don't put a cap on that interest rate that you get at crypto exchanges, banks are going to feel it, okay? So here we go. Let's get into this piece. U.S. senators late on Monday, which was January 13th, unveiled draft legislation that would create regulatory framework for cryptocurrency, which, if signed into law, would clarify financial regulators' jurisdiction over the sector, potentially boosting digital asset adoption. Remember, if this bill passes, it's going to be all over the news. And then millennials, Gen Z, Gen X, and maybe the older dinosaurs, they might start jumping into the Bitcoin ETF, XRP ETF, Solana ETF. Just look at my previous video. There's a bunch of ETFs out there. They might start dumping money into it because now crypto is legit. It says that the crypto industry has long pushed for such legislation, often arguing it is existential to the future of digital assets in the U.S. and necessary to fix core, long-standing problems for crypto companies. Now, that right there, I kind of disagree with. The whole point of cryptocurrency is to be anonymous and to keep the money as your own, okay? Again, crypto, think what cryptic is, okay? It's behind the scenes, okay? Ultimately, real crypto guys are like, I don't really like legislation. I like the Wild Wild West. I like making gains and not having to report it. It's my money. But, I mean, hey, everything has to come to an end at a certain point. And I've been talking about it. Crypto is here to stay, but at a certain point, it's going to be regulated heavily regulated because the House always has to win. And right now the House is not winning, if you get what I'm saying. Get back to the piece. Among other things, the legislation would define when crypto tokens are securities, commodities, or otherwise, giving the industry long hoped for legal clarity. XRP is a perfect example. The CFTC is now saying that XRP is a commodity. They are saying that Ethereum is a commodity. They are saying that Bitcoin is a commodity. Remember, commodities are like raw materials, wheat, gold, corn, those are commodities. So the CFTC, which is another regulatory organization within the SEC umbrella, right? They regulate, commodities only. They're saying, yeah, crypto, that's a commodity. That's what we're going to treat it as. The SEC, yeah, y'all step aside. We got this. They're commodities. Okay. So with that being said, commodities have value, real world value. A piece of wheat, a piece of gold, hay, okay, corn, beans have real world value. Okay, these are not going to become real assets if they pass this law. All right. Now, the bill also gives the banking industry a fix it had sought, stemming from legislation signed into law last year to create a federal regulatory framework for dollar-pegged crypto tokens called stablecoins. So, if the CFTC takes over like they probably are, USDC, Tether, don't even get started on Tether. Tether is Tether. We won't get into that, but let's just use them for example. USDC and Tether, okay, if they're labeled as, equities or, commodities, we don't know yet. Whatever they're labeled as, it's going to allow now, JP Morgan, Fidelity, Bank of America. It's going to allow these banks now, Pershing, BNY, whatever. It's going to allow all those guys now to offer their clients ways to stake their tokens. They'll say, hey, we have a Bitcoin that's tied to the dollar. You can move your $5,000 over into this Bitcoin reserve, this Bitcoin checking account, savings account, and get XYZ in interest. Okay, so it's going to allow them to sell more products at the end of the day, right? It's not going to keep them out of the loop, and that's going to allow banks to now compete with the likes of Coinbase and other crypto exchanges out there. Okay, so again, regulating stablecoins has always been on the table. It's always been on the table, and ultimately, we're all going to be paying with stablecoins in the future. We are. You're already tapping your card, tapping your phone to pay. What's the difference when you're paying now with tokenized versions of that same money? Cash isn't king as it was once in the past. All right. Now we're going to get to this part here. Bank lobbyists had urged Congress to close what they deemed a loophole in the bill that allowed intermediaries to pay interest on stablecoins. Banks have argued this would lead to a flight of deposits from the insured banking system, potentially threatening financial stability. Like I was just saying, banks don't like that idea, okay? They do not like that idea. Banks want the power at the end of the day. So ultimately, like I said, the Fed or the SEC, somebody's going to have to put a cap on these interest, on the interest that you get from staking coins on these exchanges. That's just the name of the game. All right, that's what they said. This loophole, man, this loophole. We got to be able to compete. Banks don't want to die. All right, and I may leave you guys with this last piece right here. It says here, Monday's bill, which could change as senators consider amendments, prohibits crypto companies from paying interest to consumers solely for holding a stablecoin. Solely for holding a stablecoin. However, it allows crypto companies to pay rewards or incentives to customers for certain activities, such as sending a payment or participating in loyalty program. The SEC and the CFTC would also be required to issue a joint rule requiring clear disclosures from crypto companies about rewards paid in connection with using stablecoins. So, as you can see here, the days of getting the 9% APY on Solana or the ETH staking rewards, etc., etc. It's almost like dividends when you think about it. But now they're saying if you're going to give users of the platform money or tokens, yeah, we don't like that. We don't like that idea. We'll give you guys something else. How about a DoorDash card or a free $5 off of an Uber ride? You see what I'm saying? They're going to give people things like that. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna get dollars. Like, put it like this: if you stake Solana or stake Ethereum, they're probably not gonna allow you to get an Ethereum reward or a Solana reward or even a monetary reward. I don't know. I'm thinking about it right now on the spot. Right? What kind of rewards would people want really? You want more tokens. So but but when you own a stock, you get dividends. Isn't that interesting? In cash. So it's almost like they're gonna do something. I don't know what they're gonna do, so I'm gonna keep a lookout for it. I'm just gonna let this, sit in my brain and think about it. But what kind of rewards would you really get? What would be the incentive for me to put 10 grand of USDC on Coinbase if I'm not getting a high interest rate? You know what I mean? Or what kind of reward are you going to give me that's equivalent to getting more USDC for staking, right? What's the incentive? Or for staking Ethereum or Solana or whoever, what is the incentive? I get a free $10 Uber ride, or I get, DoorDash points. I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, what do I get? You know what I mean? But otherwise, man, that's all I got for you guys for today. Crypto's here to stay no matter what they say. Get those bags.